So if you're a member of the VFW or the American Legion, or you're a retired member of the military or former military, please say something about this.
Because they were telling people lies that people with common sense sort of understood were lies.
Look, our plan is pretty basic. Cut taxes, cut some spending, help the national defense.
The Democrat Party, the losing party that keeps on losing. Will they find their footing? We have great videos from Democrat Senator Mark Kelly of Arizona lying about the military. We have Sean Duffy on the Department of Transportation, Kim Stossel, who's one of my favorite journalists, on why the Democrats lost everything, and much, much more. Welcome to the Doug TenNapel channel, where I try and bring down all the news to something that kind of makes sense and give you a picture of what's happening, big picture in culture with the Democrat Party. Lost in the woods. First, over here on X is Mark Kelly apparently doesn't like the civilian control of the military, which is odd, as it is clearly spelled out in the Constitution. He swears an oath to uphold. So this is Mark Kelly, astronaut, military guy, ooh, big ball breaker. Look at this eraser head. He looks like a roll-on.
Overnight, Donald Trump fired the chairman of the Joint Chiefs and the chief of naval operations, and it looks like more firings are coming.
Joint Chiefs, Chief of Naval Operations, if you want Trump to stop firing people, let me know in the chat below. But also let me know in the chat below if you want to see more firings. I'm angry there haven't been enough. Even in the military, this military has been woked and ruined, and you have to get rid of these people, get them out.
This is unprecedented, at least in my lifetime.
Unprecedented in his lifetime. Guys, that is a huge compliment to Trump, that this kind of corruption has been allowed in the military in his lifetime. This is the first time they've gone in and run an audit or fired DEI hires. First time in his lifetime. That's a huge compliment. That is not an insult, Mark Kelly.
I can remember Commander-in-Chief doing this for, I mean, who knows what his real reason is to do this. I think I have an idea. You probably do too.
Conspiracy. It's a conspiracy. Why is he really doing this? My question is, why were they put in that place in the first place? I think we all know why. It was not to make the military more lethal. It was to make it more politically correct or more woke or more DEI, whatever you want to call it. Anything but boots on the ground, efficiency, and lethality.
Yeah, I think it's up to us, veterans, to stand up.
Now he's calling on all the woke, all of the boomer veterans, the guys that came out of Vietnam and were all crying. We know all the people. I've met guys that regretted their service in Iraq and in Afghanistan. They'll come out and tell you, I hated my service. I'm insulted. I tell them, thank you for your service anyways. They say, shut up. You don't thank me for my service. I regret it. I go, thank you anyways. You went in and I did not. You did something bigger than me, even though you're against the military, which is what saves America. Maybe not in recent wars, but sometime, somewhere, some bad guy with more people and more artillery and more technology than we have is going to take a shot at us. And you want the sharpest, best people in the world representing our free speech, our freedom, and our Constitution. Mark Kelly is against that lethality. Same with all the people that are anti-military. I get it. We get involved in stuff we should never be involved with. That's part of a reformation that needs to happen in cleaning out the military.
Against the president, who is making some really bad decisions here. This is harmful to the military.
You serve at his pleasure, buddy.
So if you're a member of the VFW or the American Legion, or you're a retired member of the military or former military, please say something about this.
Yeah, he wants you to speak because no one's saying anything. Yeah, if you're pro Kamala Harris in the military, if you're pro Joe Biden in the military, basically creating opportunity for bad guys to come after us so that we'll be more likely to have to use our military because we project weakness, then Mark Kelly wants you to speak out. Sorry, Lex Luthor. Sorry, Mr. Clean. Sorry, Daddy Warbucks. Sorry, Kojak. Where's your lollipop?
It really makes a difference, and it matters.
No, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. No one's going to listen to you anyways if you guys come out in that woke, little screechy voice. Come out instantly. Now, this is Kim Strassel, one of my favorite journalists on how the Democrats completely ruined their own media and got Trump elected. I really like this interview. Watch this.
was wondering if the coverage of the media created a backlash because they were telling people lies that people with common sense sort of understood were lies. And I think it may have created more voting for Trump.
I could not agree with you more. And in fact, I think this all comes back to what you said about the job that the media is supposed to have to be a check on government. And I think it goes beyond just a backlash. I do think that that was a huge part of this election, that some people just decided, A, that they were going to tune out traditional media and they began to get their information from other sources where they felt that they were getting the real deal, whether it might be a Joe Rogan podcast or some other influencer
online. This is even the credit to Joe Rogan. It's not because he's MAGA. He was not some MAGA pro-Trump mouthpiece. He just spoke the truth. And that's why that he felt like he was not serving either party. And he did not have a boss, obviously, in big media or big tech. He's big enough, kind of like Elon Musk. He's big enough to where he doesn't have to give a darn about his own job security and fear what he has to say.
Online. I think that was one thing. I actually go deeper, though. I would argue, Scott, that the single biggest culprit, if Democrats want to ask themselves why they flamed in this election, was the media, because this is what happens when the media doesn't do its job. It exists to be a check on power, as you noted, right, and it exists to be a mirror as a way, a guardrails on the elected class. And when you fail to do that as an industry in the media and you just tell Democrats what they want to hear, I don't doubt that if I was a Democrat reading most of the leading press, the 2 months going into the election, they probably did think that most of the country was so thrilled to be soon to have Kamala Harris's joy and everything. And they were legitimately surprised when that didn't happen on election day.
Yeah. They bought their own propaganda to a point that they were surprised when the election didn't go their way. And we're hoping for even more surprises because America, what we've seen now is an unleashing of the red-blooded patriot in America, that we've been awakened. And because we've been crushed down for at least 4 years and probably more like 10 or 20 years. I think we felt that cultural weight. It was telling you, you be afraid of what you do, say, and think, or we'll get you. And now we resent it. And now we're coming out and going, yeah, we're not going to ever let you Democrats near power again, especially, forget the politics, but especially the media. Now, here's Sean Duffy on his great work in the Department of Transportation.
There's fat everywhere in government and in DOT as well. But let's be clear. At FAA, we cut 352 people out of 46,000 people. That's 0.8% of the workforce. These were probationary workers. They were employed for less than a year at DOT. So these weren't the old school, really ingrained employees of the DOT. And not only that, we kept all the critical safety positions. And we actually hired more positions into critical safety, like air traffic controllers. We hired more inspectors for things like pipelines and for aircraft. So again,
Sean has to come out and say that because so much of the media is lying about his work, saying that he's cutting crucial jobs. He's not. They're actually hiring on crucial needed jobs and cutting all of that grift and all of the fake workers. I saw a thing just online where 65% of Black female college graduates work for the government. 65% work for the government that is Black females, many of them DEI hires. I don't want to disparage all of them. I'm sure there's some great ones in there. But when 65% of a group, they do not have a job market that is a real, competitive, actual capitalist job out there waiting for them. They were just laundered through our colleges and then given a state job. You're going to get cut.
And we have a safety mission, but for people to say that because we cut 352 people out of 46,000, that's a risk to safety, give me a break. I mean, that's just plain politics as opposed to saying, let's cut the fat.
And that's the same thing with what Mark Kelly was saying at the opening of this whole thing. He's all worried about what you might cut out of the military. Given all of the military hires that have gone over the last 4 years that were based on being trans, being gay, being a woman or being Black, putting pregnant women in airplanes in the Air Force, not based on lethality, not based on who can get the job done. Yeah, there have been some cuts, a tiny percentage, and there really needs to be more. I would guess about 20% of every institution, the grift and the chaff, anyone not doing their job, anyone not showing up at the office, anyone not putting their very best forward for the American taxpayer. We pay their salary and they're grifting us. I just saw another article on how who are the guys that check your baggage and all that, NCS or NIS, that we're watching adult movies online during work, and they had secret chat rooms talking about sexual acts. Get them canned and get them out. My taxpayer should not be paying for that. You should be terrified that you waste any of America's dollars. If I'm getting paid by taxpayers, people who work hard, and then you take a percentage of that money when they're out working on a pipeline, they're out teaching classes, they're out cutting lumber, they're out laying tar on streets at 2 a.m, and you're going to tax their income and then pay some government worker to watch adult movies? No. Here's more Fox News. There's Jim Jordan shredding it on Fox News.
On this budget deal.
Yeah.
The New York Times reports on the House version, the budget that Speaker Johnson has negotiated for the next decade calls for around $880 billion in cuts to Medicaid. That's in an effort to counterbalance a portion of the tax cuts. That scares people when they hear that. Where do we get $880 billion out of Medicaid?
The focus has been clear. The president's been clear. Waste, fraud, and abuse we're going to look at.
Cutting waste, fraud, and abuse. We already know that they have $800 million to find. Easy.
Is there enough of that to cover $880
well,
billion?
we're going to look to find that. I do think we're not looking to make cuts to Medicaid, but certainly work requirements are something that I don't view as cuts. Work requirements are just common sense. You're an able-bodied adult and you're getting a benefit from the government. There should be some requirement that you do work or volunteer work or something. We have that in other parts of our government payment systems where people are getting aid from the taxpayer. I think that makes sense. So look, our plan is pretty basic. Cut taxes, cut some spending, help the national defense, and secure the border.
And get better return for our tax dollars. Cutting waste, fraud, and abuse is incredibly patriotic and incredibly kind to do. It's actually mean to try to protect bloat, fraud, inefficiency. So they may make cuts at Medicaid or Medicare, but it's not going to be cutting in your benefits. It's going to be cutting that waste, fraud, and abuse to better secure your benefits in the future. Elon Musk flat out said, we will not have Medicaid if you do not fix the budget. You will not have money for our welfare programs and our help of the people that are vulnerable, Social Security. You will not have it if you don't fix the debt. Just to secure the future, you have to go in and run these audits, and I'm all for it. What do you guys think? Many of you are on Social Security, Medicaid. Are you willing to have them go in and make cuts so long as it doesn't cut your actual benefits? I'm Doug in exile.